What's your history together? You two are together. What's your history? What do you want to share right now with the table?
I was actually abandoned by my birth parents because they didn't want me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was left to die in the woods somewhere.
Left to die?
Jesus.
Yes. Yeah.
They did that stuff, man.
I did do that stuff.
We're not laughing at you.
No, it's perfect, Brett. I love the background.
And Mother Wolf found me and raised me along with the pups.
How did Mary Doc get into your life, or how did you two meet?
No, I was an exiled halfling. They exiled me for a crime I did not commit. Or did I? Or did I? But in any case, they exiled me in the forest, and I thought, I'm going to die. But then I found that I actually rather like it out here. I like it better. It appeals to my slightly feral nature. So, as I was already getting experience, when I ran into this, I was traveling through the forest and I saw this a tiefling being raised by wolves. Oh my gosh. But I found that she was doing well. So I didn't want to interfere. So I slowly just kept bringing extra food and keeping other predators that the wolves themselves couldn't keep away. And just watching over for a distance. Until finally she grew old enough to be able to interact.
Okay, perfect. So, it's night. You two are together. You're away from the pack. For whatever reason you may have. You're away from the pack. What are you two doing? It's nightfall. You decide to camp for the night? Or do you hunt at night for food for the pack at night? What are you two doing? It's nightfall.
You're more wolf-like.
And I normally would hunt for the pack.
Yep, sure.
And for my wolf brethren.
Okay.
To help Mama Wolf with feeding them.
And I, as usual, I'm always kind of following behind the distance, making sure she's okay, like the Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker figure, just kind of keeping in the background. And I'm looking for, mushrooms.
Of course, I like the mushrooms.
All right.
Oh, no.
Okay, perfect. So,
It's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
How did we know? There was a
Speaking of
costume.
Obi-Wan.
I kind of need your knife for a moment.
not to you yet, Obi-Wan.
His hood is growing. 2 hours in, it'll be down over your chin.
So you two are out hunting. Do you have a Nario? Do you have a
So it
bow?
happens as you get older.
Is that true?
Yes, she does.
It's,
It all sags.
I don't know, I think it's in my pack at the moment.
Yeah, but would you be out hunting? You're hunting right
Yeah,
now. So
I
you have
also
your
have
bow
my
out, maybe.
dual wielding short swords.
Okay, so yeah, and you're from a distance. It's actually a foggy night. There's fog. It's kind of hard
I know.
hard
I
to
don't
see
like
this fog that's going on.
Learn from Echo. Run.
Run.
And the fog just starts to envelop both of
You see a tornado.
and just comes
Fog.
around and comes around and then you hear a voice in your ears.
I'm scared.
You're such a beautiful creature. Come to me, my love. I will grant you powers beyond your belief
I feel
by
uncomfortable.
my side. And then you two disappear into the mist.
Tiefling, of course it is.
Remember
Why don't
that,
you
man.
give me your two
Characters.
These two.
figures?
Yeah.
Oh, you can carry me in your pack.
Yeah, I can carry you in my pack.
That's a good idea.
It actually
All
work,
right.
like with
Whip out your hat.
Next,
yeah.
Yarrow.
Throw
I choose you.
Throw
Hey,
half.
hey, Yarrow. What are you doing? What do you look like? What do you want to share with the group right now? Your background. What do you want to share? What are you doing right now, Yarrow?
Yarrow, with a group of 6 others, had ventured from the keep to greet, hopefully, a traveling dwarven wizard and his small group ahead of their arrival. So they traveled for a day and made camp along the road. And Yarrow had started a fire for them to stay warm since the chill was in the air. And at that moment, She has been staring into the fire, and it brought back memories that are disturbing and she'd rather forget, but that would be impossible.
All right. So as you're staring into the fire, the flames are going, and you're almost being hypnotized, and you see what looks to be like a human face just look out at you, and you actually fall into the fire. Give me his.
That's gonna hurt.
Miniature.
It's awesome.
Talk about a facial.
Jared, Jared, where are you? What would you like to share us about Jared's history? And where are you currently? What are you doing, Jared?
I like skulls. I like.
That's not gonna get used to it at all, man.
Well, first off, I'm just kind of one of those guys that likes to hang out.
Video games.
Exactly. That's when I'm not up in the air.
Don't do it, man.
Okay, well, Jared was born in Victoria, but it's kind of weird. He never knew either of his parents. The last thing he remembers was when he was a kid, was living on the streets in this small town. And one day he used to get bullied all the time by these kids. And one day he was in a fight. He's probably about 10 years old, and this bigger kid was starting to beat on him, and he, trying to defend himself, he held out his hand and screamed, and this black bolt of fire shot out of his hand and hit this kid in the chest and killed him. And he was so scared when it happened, not only just because of killing the kid, but he was scared of what had happened to him, that he decided to run off and leave the town before somebody would find him. They'll kill me. I killed the kid. So he ran off, and he was traveling through Victoria, and this old gentleman named Jeremiah happened by one day while he was on the roads, and he was begging for food, and Jeremiah offered to bring him to his place to where he lived, in a monastery where he would be taken care of and wouldn't have to live out on the streets anymore. And so he went with him and went to this monastery, and he decided that he could use that to try and figure out more about himself. And he spent many, many decades. And now Jared is he's got a little bit of that middle-aged paunch, but he's you can tell that he was a good-looking guy once when he was young. His hair is slightly gray. He's got reddish-brown eyes, apparently. And
He's soaring high.
He's been studying a lot of things, including he discovered that he has some fiendish blood somewhere in him, and that must be where that bolt comes from. That black fire that he can conjure up at times when he's being threatened or scared. But he prefers much more just doing research, and he started researching about the undead. And not that he wanted to be one, but he wanted to understand them because they're so not natural. And so he spent a lot of time, and he found this passage in this book in the monastery's library about this Lord of the Undead. And there was an incantation, and he decided to try it out and see if he could discover more. And so one night, late at night, after everybody had gone to bed, he was sitting in his little room, and he got the candles out, and he drew some stuff with chalk on the floor, and he was sitting there, and he started casting this incantation. And he suddenly fell asleep, started to dream. In the dream, he was being chased by a zombie. And then he tried to get away, and he couldn't get away, and he was running through halls in the dark and everything. He couldn't see anything, but he could see. And so he, finally the zombie was just about to catch him, and he turned around and lashed out with the black fire and shot it in the chest, and it died. And as it died, it clubbed him in the head. It was going down, but it had a club, and it clubbed him in the head, and he passed out. That was in the dream. Then when he woke up and he kind of sat up and he realized that he was sitting over the body of his mentor, Nehemiah, who had been there for years with him, this 80-year-old man who had taken care of him his whole life. And there was a big black charred hole in Nehemiah's chest. And so he screamed in fear and agony and said, "Not again." And he started running off into the woods. And as he was running off into the woods, he heard this cackling voice said, "I am the Lord Vecna. You are mine now." He ran off into the woods and ran until he couldn't run any farther. And he found this little copse of trees and he just laid down, curled up in a ball, and fell asleep.
All right, and so in your dream as you sleep, this mist comes over you as you're sleeping. My tortured soul, you do not belong here. Your enemy is my enemy. Come, come. I will make these nightmares go away. I promise. As long as you obey. Or the nightmares will get worse.
And you just. And here's Jared.
Jared?
Bye, Jared.
Bye, Jared.
See you in a second.
Later.
Now,
2 times.
Scribble.
People got problems, man. Not me, but he's got problems.
So Scribble is from the island of Cyron, which is a tropical island to the far east of Hearthron, past the Macall Islands, also known as the Pyre Alsons. Born and raised in the great and undefeatable goblin clan of Krunka. And he was recently recruited as a lieutenant for the great King Grabnitz to serve in the military. And he was trained by the mighty famous bard Rackle the Loud. And so recently, one of his missions was to do more local activities among the clan, and there's been reports of eerie activity along the foothills of the Purple Mountains to the west, where a lot of goblins, some reason, have gone missing and disappeared. So he takes a great battalion of goblins on his first mission to show King Grabnitz what he can do, and he marches to the west, and as night falls, he sets up camp and decides to take a nap in his tent.
And you wake up. Ah!
Scared, sir.
And you wake up all of a sudden, and you're sure it must have been a goblin. What happened? And you come out your tent, you peer out your tent, and off the distance from your camp, you see this fog rise, probably in a sense of where your night guard is probably at. What do you do?
It's just fog, man. It's the mountains. I'm going back to bed.
So you go lay back down.
Who cares about fog?
You go back, lay back down, and as you start to doze off,
There's
you
no cloud
see
kill,
see
there's no
this
fog.
mist, the fog, start coming into your tent, and just ever so slightly just goes right over your face. It could be his Scribble. Now,
What's your name again? Dribble?
This is
Centra.
So it is nighttime, and Centra travels at night,
All right.
and he recently found a skeleton trail. But the skeletons are pretty far out by now. He has been tracking these skeletons recently. He looks just pure in metal, and his gloves are just leather gloves. So, nobody knows what he looks like because he has been hunted before for what he is, and his shield is hidden by his cloak just in case anybody is out at this time. So some people may see a necklace, like a glimpse of a necklace, but they don't know where it leads, what is on the end of it. And when he looks down at his necklace, he'll bring back some memories of where he got it from.
Okay, do you want to share those memories with us?